Welcome everybody. This is not something that everyday drivers think about while they're out there and driving and doing offers for DoorDash, Uber Eats, Instacart, or Spark, or whatever it is. And even when you're not working, maybe certain drivers have that conversation once in a while. But the real is, and we're talking about the real. And I'm going to start out with an example. You need the mayor's support or his help. Let's say somebody from New York City. The mayor, let's say from New York City. And you're going after somebody that has to deal with the city about corruption charges against them. And you need support or help from the mayor, who's also into corruption as well. Taking bribes from the Turkish nationals and getting free plane rides to Turkey back and forth, which is illegal. How are you going to get that help? Ask yourselves, how are you going to get that help? Here's another example. You want to go after a certain teacher, okay? Or violations of teacher practices that's going on in the classroom. You found out from your kids, you got your evidence, and you're going after a certain teacher from a school. And now you're going to the Board of Education. And if they are corrupt as well, and they have been charged as well in the past, how are you going to get that help that you need? That's where we are right now. That's exactly where we are right now. And it comes to the gig economy. Why is it only one state, Colorado, is trying to pass legislation? This way the apps are totally transparent, but only for the state of Colorado. We got 50 states. And that AB bullshit in New York and in California, it's garbage. We're talking about the real. The real legislation laws that apply to the gig economy companies, all of them, when it comes to Colorado State. There it is. Why are you not getting the help from other states? That's my point right there. That's my point right there. That's why this country is going to hell in a handbasket. It is. And we're seeing what's going on with the political issues lately. You don't need me to elaborate. You guys are getting bombarded day and night right now of the hell and the mess that's going on in the country. The whole political mess. How are you going to go out there and get the help that you need where the help itself is bad and corrupted as well? How's that going to work? The answer is it's not. It's not going to work out. That's why we're seeing these results. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing. It's just blunt and plain, just like that. The good old days of America, where there was some common sense, there was some logic, and people were living comfortably, no matter what level you were in, that's gone. That's gone with the wind. Greed, corruption, and anarchy has taken over. Has taken over. Nobody gives a rat's ass, or let's say anything, no matter what the subject matter is, they could care less. It's all about themselves and their groups. That's it. The country has been divided. We're seeing a division in the gig economy as well. You're seeing that in every sector out there. I don't care what industry you're in or what group you're in, you're seeing it. Division galore. We're going backwards instead of going forwards. We're going backwards. And the whole thing that AI is going to create a better society, well, we're seeing the results that it's getting worse. AI is making things worse. And the whole thing that one of the content creators said, which sometimes I agree, and sometimes I gotta say it like it is, I don't agree. And sometimes I do agree. But the statement that the customers need some kind of matrix so they can rate us, how's it gonna work otherwise? Well, before 2016, everybody in the universe, what did they have? They had their own, what? Delivery drivers, W-2 drivers. Every restaurant, either Chinese or pizza or Italian or you name it. They had their own drivers. Did customers rate anybody? No. What was the only rating system they had before the gig economy? What did they have? They had the Google and some other ones. The Yelp. The Yelp was another one, where they rated and left comments, sometimes about a driver, sometimes mostly about the restaurant itself. They had that. But they never had specifically rating a delivery driver. And deliveries were done better. Were there issues? It wasn't perfect? Nothing is perfect. You know why? Because we're human beings. Nobody's perfect. We understand that. But do you believe we had more complaints when people had their own delivery drivers? Let's say restaurants had their own delivery drivers. Was there more issues back then than now? All these drivers work for the gig economy. Where you see most of the drama, was it before the gig economy or now with the gig economy? If you ask me, it's with the gig economy and technology. We see more chaos and mayhem with the gig economy than before. Yeah, there were bad drivers even back then, and we have bad drivers now. But it wasn't as much as it is right now. That's the problem. You know why? Because anybody's welcome. No matter what. Even if they're illegal or not. Even if they're presentable or not. Even if they're clean or not clean. Even if they're bad or if they're good. It doesn't matter. Hop right into DoorDash. Hop right into Uber Eats. Hop into Spark. They don't care. They don't give a rat's ass. Like I said from the beginning of the video. They stopped giving a rat's ass. Period. And there's the results. So why wasn't this as much before? Because you had to sit down with the boss. You sit down on the table as a delivery driver. The boss will ask you, how many years experience? Okay. Where did you work? Okay, you worked for these places. Okay. Did they have any complaints against you? And don't lie, because the boss already has your resume and has the pizzerias or other restaurants that you worked at. All he's got to do is make a simple phone call and talk to the owner and tell them that I'm currently interviewing one of your ex-drivers. Was he a good driver? Was he a bad driver? Blah, blah. He can get all the information he wants. So they were doing more thoroughly screening drivers back then. Back then, meaning before the gig economy. Unless the restaurant didn't care about screening their drivers. But the legitimate restaurants out there, and pizzerias, and Chinese food stores, and breakfast shops, you name them, the whole food industry, if they were hiring their own drivers, they were doing a better job of screening those drivers than they do in the gig economy. And as an example of the gig economy, that's how everything else is running. They're trying to go after the pharmaceutical companies. They're hiking up the prices, greed, and they're getting away with it. And they know that the doctors, if you play by the book, you're not going to get anywhere. And even the nurses, if you play by the book, you're not going to get anywhere because the book doesn't matter anymore. So they're all playing the game the way it is now. They have changed the rules and they're playing the game differently. The medical field is doing it. The automotive industry is doing it. The education system is doing it. The system itself is doing it. And the gig economy is doing it. You name it. They have changed the game now. Wake the hell up. They have changed the game. Common sense and logic, I've been saying for years, it's out the window. They don't operate like that anymore. It's out the window. And they got people out there in businesses who are bastards, and they're getting it just a slap on the wrist and getting away with it. That wouldn't fly that before. That wouldn't fly. Before, they would get charged. Now, they just give them a slap on the wrist. I just don't do it again. And they do it again. And they get another slap. And they get told the same thing. Don't do it again. But they did this 3 or 4 times already. Why you keep telling them don't do it again? They already did it. Bunch of hypocrites. There you go. That's exactly the state of the country right now. Yeah, we are a banana republic. Like it or don't like it, that's what we have become. Period. We are like a third world country right now. In some aspects, we are. In some aspects of the way the country is running, we are. And the results, you don't need me to tell you the results. You guys are seeing it and living it in your markets for yourselves. Enough said. Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. I'll catch you guys later. Plain as that.